Live from the broken down, low rent, sleazy, double greasy pirate radio Nut Hut Studios, it's time for the very first ever Southern.
Attention. CPR Street Gang, this is our fighting. Standing by, over. CPR Street Gang, this is our fighting. Standing by, over.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
clocks run out, time's up.
Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken hearts, a smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
It's Friday night. New boss, same as the old boss. Epic journeyman. Are you the? I'm stuck in the tar. I'm like a tar
It's
baby.
La Brea.
I'm like a tar baby. I don't know it. You know.
That movie's banned, man. That movie. Did you know that movie's banned?
No, I didn't.
It's banned. Yeah, we used to have that movie. It was on moratorium at the video store in Las Vegas before it went on moratorium.
Uh-huh.
And that was like in 1996ish, I think, when it went on moratorium. And somebody stole it right away, of course. But it's never come out since. They completely, they're trying to erase that movie from history almost. I mean, it's amazing. Like that movie might as well not exist.
It's incredible the amount of history erasing that goes on.
Wait a minute, something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Hey, hey. Now it's hey mambo, mambo Italiano, hey mambo, mambo Italiano, go go Joe. You mixed up Siciliano, or you calabrese, do the mambo like crazy, and hey mambo, don't want a tarantella, hey mambo, no more the mozzarella, hey mambo Italiano, try an enchilada with a fish or bacalao, and then hey gumba, I love how you dance.
Hey, Goomba.
Hey, Goomba.
What's the salami situation on the East Coast? Is there still plenty available?
It's getting a bit scarce, actually. Well, at least the kind I like.
Sorry about that. was a scene there with Bridget Bardot in the moonlight putting on her earring, kind of dancing around with the moon shining on the back of her neck. It caught my eye, and I completely disregarded everything you were saying. How's the salami situation?
Well, the kind I like is getting a little bit scarce in this area. For whatever reason. It's a little hard to find lately.
Interesting. Well, it looks like the candle's burning at both ends. Epic Journeyman. Because remember how about, I don't know, 9 months ago or so, we were hearing about all these ships just stacked up down in Long Beach, waiting to be unloaded. They couldn't unload them, and then Joe Biden stepped in, old poopy pants himself, stepped in and said, we'll have them working 24 hours a day to unload these ships. Well, see, this is back, let me put this in context. This is back when the pandemic had happened, and you couldn't get goods, so stores loaded up on their ordering because they were missing so much stuff. So they loaded up on their ordering, and all that shit came in that was out there stacked up. Mm-hmm. Well, now, container cargo to the United States is basically dropped off to almost nothing. Which, in retail perspective, when you buy goods, you have to pay taxes on those goods while they sit there on the shelf. So it seems that the retail establishments or the big corporate retailers are not spending as much money buying goods because they know they're going to be sitting on the shelves, because they know nobody's going to have any fucking money to go to no stores buying any plastic shit. The only thing you're going to have money for is food and gas and rent. And in those three equations, something in there is going to have to give, like, you know, keeping yourself warm in the winter or keeping yourself cool in the summer. I mean, and then this video comes out that we got 10 weeks of wheat left in the world supply right now. That came out months ago. 30 days ago. So they did.
I don't know if I buy that.
Well, it was a government report. It was a video of this lady giving a report to the NIH. So I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, what is it?
The world is melting too, so because of global warming, we're all going to be dead by.
Well, something is happening with that.
So.
Dude, I swear to God, it'll be too late when the end comes to be able to come back and say I told you so. But I mean, when you go back and look at this show over the last however many years we've been doing it, and look at how many times we fucking predicted the future.
Yeah, there's been a few.
We've never gone back and say, see, we told you this was going to happen. We told you this was going to happen. Look, man, over a year ago, we did a show on the fucking ozone layer. And we're just regular people, me and Epic. We just noticed something with the trees, man. We noticed something with the trees ourselves, and we took a look at it. And all of a sudden, boom. What's going on with the ozone layer? What's going on with the UVC? What's going on with the...
Yeah.
Dude, what's going on right now is they're telling people to stay in their fucking house because it's too hot. Do you think they're telling them to stay in because it's too hot? Or do you think they're telling them to stay in because there's fucking radiation coming in?
Well, I think it's the radiation. I mean, it's
That's right.
75 degrees out and it feels like it's 100.
UV index is like 50% higher than it was a couple years ago. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, no, that's true. I mean, it's where I live, it's last I checked, it was like 14 a couple months ago. It gets up to like 18. 10 is supposed to be high. It's not like the end of the scale. But like where Jimmy is supposed to be like, say, 9 at the high end in the summertime, whatever. And it's getting like 14, like Hawaii, right? So we're talking about this. It's not an exponential increase, but this massive increase over the last couple of years. And that's related to things like not just the ozone layer, but the magnetosphere. And, we talk about that South Atlantic anomaly. Planes don't fly. You know how much closer Africa is to South America than North America? Why don't people fly across there? There's a reason they don't fly across there. There's a reason ships don't go there. It's a big hole in the magnetosphere right there, right? I mean, it's called South Atlantic anomaly. And yeah, we can't just ignore these things forever. They don't just go away because we don't pay attention to them.
No,
anymore.
and it reminds me. What movie was it? What movie was it?
RoboCop 2.
No.
The SPF 200. Oh, I thought that was going to be. Yeah.
Well, no, there's a movie, and I'm pretty sure it's The Road, but I'm not 100% on it. That there's this whole thing where a bunch of people went blind at whatever event happened to make the road happen. That there's like an event where everybody goes blind. Like there's one moment.
It might be. I didn't finish The Road. I started
there's
watching
one
it,
moment where this girl is crawling around on the ground. And apparently, like, there's a moment where the sun did something, and everybody who was outside with their eyes open, looking, their retinas got burned out, and so everybody was walking around blind. Nobody could see. That was one of the things from the from the road. But I don't know what happened in The Road. I'm not sure if that was the movie. I just remember this girl. It was a setup though. She wasn't really blind. There were some other dudes with guns. And she was just crawling around to suck this guy into helping her. And then when he helped her, these other guys were going to jump out and take his shit. It's a perfect scenario. She's a woman out there in the middle of the desert crawling around next to a shopping cart that fell over with her food all on the ground.
Yeah, that sounds like The Road. Yeah, I stopped watching it about a third of the way in, because my sister spoiled it for me. Like, oh, don't watch that. I listened to her. Yeah, but
it's the Book of Eli.
Has a story also. It might be. I did.
Yeah,
watch
that was it. The Book of Eli. Exactly.
Yeah, that has that scene too, right, where they set up the ambush.
Yeah. That was it. It wasn't The Road. I knew it was one of those movies like that, all sepia tone and dusty. looking like Mad Max. I saw some meme earlier. It was funny. I don't know. It seems like, I'm working a job, with regular people. And I don't bring this shit up with people, you know what I mean? But I mean, I do in a light way. In other words, I make comments about, obvious shit that's going on that everybody should know about. And for the most part, man, people are completely unaware that shit is fucking completely breaking down. Like, people don't understand. People don't have a clue. Like, I was shooting a video around to some of our friends, that I found. I don't think I know if I sent it to you guys or not, both of you guys, but did you see the bank runs in China? It was like 500,000 people that are standing there giving my money, and they're saying there is no money.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. See, we're talking about the supply chain earlier, and people forget they just shut down again, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, like completely. That the Shanghai, biggest city, biggest exporter, right? In Hong Kong's, next biggest one, but the mainland China, all the stuff coming from Shanghai. I mean, that's a big hit, and so that's why those ships aren't coming in. Yeah. So there's like a ketchup shortage in America all of a sudden. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. It's not all ketchup; it's just certain kinds of ketchup. But still, it's just funny because these are the kind of things where society doesn't break apart like you think it does. It breaks apart with the little things that glue it all together start coming apart, and people notice those little things before the big things hit them. And yeah, who knows? It might be the ketchup thing that hits us first. First sign the apocalypse is the ketchup shortage.
Well, all I know, I mean, I can dig up that video of them saying there's 10 weeks of wheat, and the thing is that for the most part, when you say to people, hey man, there's only 10 weeks of wheat left or whatever, it really doesn't register what that means. That doesn't necessarily mean shit to you in America right now. It doesn't mean anything.
It means a lot to Egypt, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's Ukrainian wheat, and it's not getting there. That's right.
That's what I'm saying. It's not having just to do with Ukraine. They gave this report even before Ukraine. Believe it or not. And maybe this whole Ukraine thing is just a fucking cover for the fact that the wheat ain't growing because it's getting fucking scorched, man.
That's a good point.
That's interesting to think about. Yeah, I didn't think about the fact that, a good way to cover for the fact that the harvest didn't end up it's expected to be, is it didn't happen in the first place because it was all burnt.
Fucking scorched, man.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what happened, but I'm telling you, it is a good
Why did
cover
they
if there
come
ever
out
was
with
one.
this video fucking like before any of this shit even happened with Ukraine? They came out with this video about this wheat. I'm gonna go find the video. I can, unfortunately, I was on a board. I was on a message board, and I don't remember the title of the thing, the thread or whatever. But there was another dude that made a video about the video that I saw first, and then the second thing I saw was the video raw. And it's like I say, it's the guy, it's the tell me or maybe I can just find it. Tell me the name of the Secretary of State right now. What's his name?
Blinken, Anthony Blinken.
Blinken, hold on. Blinken.
E-N, I believe.
Okay.
B-L-I-N-K-E-N.
Blinken. Okay, hold on. Report. Wheat. Let me see. Let me see if anything comes up, because it's a black chick that's giving the report, and she's like some specialist that is working for him. Let me see here. No. Let me see. Hold on. Blinken. Let me see. 10 weeks of wheat. Sorry about this, man. This is like, sorry, I forgot this is live. You guys can jump in anytime and say something, just so I don't have to like golf it. I'm coming up to the hole now. I'm pulling out my 9 iron.
Difficult shot. Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing about Ukrainian wheat, I mean, that happened on the 24th, the invasion, right? And they were saying in March, so 2 weeks after, basically, that, oh, man, it's going to impact the harvest. And if we can't get the grain out, it's going to really impact the third world, in particular Africa. And the reason being that they have the port in Odessa, is where it all comes from, primarily, and the one in Azov, right, which got, not Azov, Mariupol, but in the Azov Sea. And those are the 2 ports where they'd export it from, but primarily Odessa. So they lost Mariupol to the Russians, and then that wheat's being stolen supposedly by the Russians and being sold like not really black market, but like highest bidder kind of thing. Might as well be black market. And then the stuff that would go out through Odessa, they have a blockade going there. And Turkey has, they're not letting new ships in, warships for the Soviet Union, or not Soviet Union, I'm sorry, Russia now. But old habits die hard, man. I'm an old Cold Warrior in that sense. But at the same time, they can't go out because not only are the Russians going to sink the ships, but the Ukrainians themselves mined the harbors to keep the Russians from invading. So the ships can't go anywhere. So the grain can't get out by sea in these freighters like it normally would. And they're talking about trying to do it by train into Europe, but that's so inefficient because it takes hundreds of trains to equal one cargo ship. Like literally hundreds. Think how many of those containers you come up a cargo ship with the cranes on the pier, just stacked, 50 high and coming out of underneath the decks and stuff's on the top and the top deck. Yeah. And how much it takes to unload all this stuff. Each one of those is a train car, literally. Each one of those is a train car.
Boom.
So imagine how many trains that is.
I fucking got it, Jack. Hold on a second. I got that video. Hey, Malai, what's happening? It's good to see you. It's good to see you, Bernays. It's good to see you, Holly. Good to see you, Lane. Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you, John. Good to see you, Jules. Bruce McDonald's going to be joining us momentarily. Let me get Bruce McDonald here. Hang on. Because I want him to hear this also. And then also today, we had the Federal Reserve come out and say that the dollar was about to lose prominence in the world. So, I mean, whether or not that's a topic, I don't know. But, hey, what's up, Bruce? We're about to get into this video that was put out before all this stuff started happening about wheat. And what we were talking about was the fact that last year, Epic and I did that show about the scorching trees, and we started talking about the ozone layer, the magnetic field, and UVC radiation coming in. So we're hearing. Go ahead.
If alternative radio was a book called How to Survive for Dummies, you Epic and Rio have written the best version of that in the last 6 or 7 years with this radio show. I shit you not. You guys have been like 90% accurate, and what you guys did that was intelligent was you didn't go big picture, like some I'm inspired by God Bible thumper or some smart ass who thinks he knows it all. You just started to look at the architecture and started to document the foundation of this society and go, I don't think that's up to code.
No.
And here we are. And
well, listen, here's the thing. We were hearing all this shit over here, and let's say, right now, because of the situation, let's say there's people in the know, and so let's say there's a good possibility Ukraine has always been this place where you can pull your money out of the bank. It's like an ATM. So you can go there and you hide your money somewhere, and there's where you can come pull it out. And let's just say you see everybody stuffing candlesticks and running for the exits, and maybe this whole Ukraine thing is just really mostly just trying to hide the fact that this wheat has got scorched, man. Yeah. This wheat is scorched. There is no fucking wheat crop. Did you see those cattle that died in the heat in Kansas, dude?
I did, yeah. So there's a hierarchy here, right? It's like think of the controllers as like the wardens and the guards and the shift guards in a maximum security prison. They want to send a message to the whole population, which is the globe. And to do that, they have to make an example out of somebody. And it's the U.S., man. There's no food factories or food processing plants being armed in Canada or Europe, to the best of my knowledge. There are aspects of what is going on that are unique to the United States. And so they're going to try to break your spirit, literally. You guys are like going back to 1776. It's going to get that chaotic. Or I'm overestimating the remaining spirit in America, and everybody will get in line, put the ankle bracelet on, get the chips, get the vaccines, and that's it.
Well, we were just talking about it, and we were saying, even when you're in America and you hear there's 10 weeks of wheat left, is that really going to affect you? Or when you go to the store, how is that going to affect you? Well, wheat's in a lot of stuff, but it's the third world that's going to be affected by the price of wheat, and if there isn't any. It's what started the Arab Spring. People were setting themselves on fire and shit. Somewhere. Where did that guy set himself on fire because he couldn't?
Tunisia.
Yeah. So, it gets crazy. Okay, so now here is urgent UN. And this video came out before all this shit happened. Let me see what the date on this is. I don't know if there's a date on this video, but apparently this video was done before all this, but let's listen to it. Here it comes.
For his briefing, I'd now like to give the floor to Ms.
Okay. This happened around the world, FLDG on 19th of May 2022. That's when this was put out. Ready? This is the UN. This is a meeting going on. Here we go.
Mr. True for his briefing. I'd now like to give the floor to Ms. Sarah Maker.
Thank you, Mr. President, for inviting me to address the Security Council. I come here today to share insights from our data that the Russia-Ukraine war did not start a food security crisis. A crisis we detected tremors from long before the COVID-19 pandemic exposed the fragility of our supply chains. In 5 months, we have undone 20 years of progress. This isn't cyclical. This is seismic. It's a once-in-a-generation occurrence that can dramatically reshape the geopolitical era. Official government agency estimates from around the world put wheat inventories at 33% of annual consumption. Verifiable data from public and private sources that we as a company organize and then build statistical models to connect the dots between in our platform show that global wheat inventories are in fact closer to 20%. We currently only have 10 weeks of global consumption sitting in inventory around the world.
There it is.
Well, that don't sound like good news, Jimmy.
No, it's not good news at all, man.
So,
I'm not
so
sure I
predates
can-
the war by 3 months. Yeah, I mean that's what she's saying. Is it started 3 months before the war. The war may have exasperated it, but yeah, it would certainly. I'm sure that plays a factor. It plays a role. But
Well,
it's cool
the
that she's
thing
saying
is,
this
she
was going
didn't-
on before.
And she didn't give a reason why. But I'm telling you that I think it has something to do with this situation, man. Have you seen Lake Mead? Have you been paying attention to it at all?
Yeah, yes, I have. I used to live in Vegas for 6 years. I've been fishing at
It's fucking
Lake Mead
dry.
many, many times, and I can tell you that's tripping me out watching that.
Well, it should trip you out even
What's going on?
more. It should trip
Let
you
us
out.
in.
It's gone down the levels have dropped so low that it's comparatively a puddle to what it used to be.
Dude, the
And so
levels
all
are
these dead
s-
bodies are showing up that the mob used to bury there in Vegas. They'd throw people in their cement shoes. Where that term comes from, right?
They're finding all these
and now
barrels.
they're finding them all. So all these unsolved crimes are starting to be solved because they're finding the people with their wallets and everything intact. They were just dumped in the reservoir.
They're fucking draining it, dude. Literally, the Rio Grande. I'm not making this up. You can type it in right now. The Rio Grande is literally fucking run dry.
Wow. I think that is almost a god punishment when water leaves your country and your region, man. I mean, I don't think you can fake that. I don't think they can control that.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is say, well, if we adjust this rainfall situation via these different aerosol disbursement methods and different...
Don't forget the HARP.
Yeah, right, exactly. Moving the jet stream and all this stuff, starving California out for water. I mean, there's no water, man. There's no I mean, people don't understand. Dude, let me ask you a question.
Didn't
It's the
Russia do
same-
that back in the 80s, too?
Didn't
Russia do that to California back in the 80s, too? Or in the 70s?
Russia.
I don't know, but...
How would Russia do that? Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but what I do know is that California grows a shitload of food, dude, for the world. Not just for California and the United States, but, I mean, we put out a lot of food from here. Right now, it's unseasonably cold. It's literally like 50 degrees right now out here. I mean, it changed. The weather swung from 100 degrees to 50 degrees in one day.
Whoa.
You know, I'm thinking of something, and it's like a semi-permeable membrane in a cell. So if you imagine it like the cell has the fluid on the inside, right, the cytoplasm, and it has the outside, and has this membrane that allows things to come through. And that's like the atmosphere of the Earth, and that's like the weather cycles that bring rain back to the Earth and penetrate that, that barrier. You go back to the aquifers or the water table and the cytoplasm, which is inside the cell, which is the Earth, right? So what happens is we've dropped the water tables. Last I saw in California, something like 30 feet of water that's been dropped. So in other words, as aquifers get drained by these wells getting progressively drilled deeper, mostly by agriculture in the industry to fulfill the needs of the water that they have, it empties that spot. And that spot is a natural buffer. Just so we talk about how like you have a swimming pool and you heat the swimming pool and you heat the swimming pool to 75 degrees and then you can have a cold snap, but the water only gets like 60, right? Because the water is such volume of water there that it retains some of the warmth, right? But if you take that water away, just like the cytoplasm inside that cell, it's a dry cell, the cell's dying. What happens is that just like that and like the swimming pool, when the weather snaps from hot to cold, there's no reservoir, literally a reservoir, not just of water, but a reservoir of this stored energy that's there that can accommodate that kind of swing. So now all of a sudden, when you lose 50 degrees of heat, it can't have a reservoir of water underneath the ground to keep the ground still warm. It's like an arid desert. It's like Antarctica.
Dude,
right?
when I had my company, I did a project for Nextel at the Fairfield Anheuser-Busch plant. Anheuser-Busch. Budweiser. This plant used 7 million gallons of water a day.
That's a lot of beer.
That's just one plant in Northern California. They're all over the country.
it probably made 100,000 gallons of beer in that process. That was all for cleaning and for boilers and for all this other stuff. I bet you. I'd like to know what the ratio was.
Yeah, Dan the Waterman's talking primary water. Yeah, man, there's primary water, dude. But I mean, the problem with that is that it's the surface water that's available to the monkeys like you and me, the people. You know what I mean? We get the surface water, and when they say there isn't any, we're the ones that are going to be the ones trying to, you know. It seems that every single thing at this point, because of the capitalist society that we live in, it's a matter of dollars and cents. If it don't make no dollars, it don't make any sense. So in other words, if there's a shortage of something in the world and you're an American company and you own that resource, you're going to fucking sell it to the highest bidder. People are under this impression that because there's some American company that they're going to cut us a deal or, you know, give us, you know, sell us the goods or whatever. Dude, when oil was $200 a barrel, was that oil coming here?
No. Well, here's what's funny. Like,
no, it was being sold to people. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, oil got to sub-zero during the pandemic because there was no demand. Sub-zero, it cost, they were giving it away practically. It was less than zero, the price of a barrel of oil, because there's nobody traveling anywhere or doing anything. And what's funny is we watch that kind of cycle and how it's all kind of made up, right? But the thing with the water is interesting is that...
Dude, what I'm saying to you is if there's a resource and there's a company in America, they're selling it as a profit. Like recently, natural gas. Natural gas is selling at 100% more than it's selling here in Europe because they can't get any. Well, no, they're selling it. They're selling it at 100% profit on 100% markup.
So they're going to make a whole industry out of capping those natural gas vents to help global warming and all that stuff. It's going to be part of the Build Back Better plan and all that stuff.
They're selling American natural gas to Europe at 100% of the price it is here. It's selling it away to causing a shortage here, driving the price up here. So what's going to happen is everything that we used to have that was dirt cheap is all of a sudden going to cost money. What I'm saying to you
is... Point out the water thing, though.
Your water bill, this ties into it. This ties into what I was bringing, why I was tying all this together. Your water bill, your electricity bill, and your natural gas bill were all things that used to be like $30, $50 a month, this, you know, cheap little thing. Now all of a sudden, every single fucking thing that you use is going to cost you, like water, for example. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was, recall how the Koch brothers back in the day got famous here in America during the 80s in the Reagan administration by trying to corner the silver market. They tried to corner the silver market.
Hunt brothers.
Remember?
The Hunt brothers.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're correct. You're correct. I'm sorry. I always think the Koch brothers are evil. I always think about them. No, you're right. The Hunt brothers. I stand corrected. But the thing is, the Hunt brothers did that. Well, what's happening now is, in America, internationally, Nestle, the company Nestle, American company Nestle, is trying to corner the water market and has been for half a decade already. And it's starting to show up, and you can see why. Because if you can corner the water market, well, you need water to live. And we're talking about the cost of living. That's all things Jimmy just brought up. That's exactly what we're talking about, things that are the cost of living. At some point, it becomes too expensive to live for the individual, which means what? You have to join the collective to survive, which is forcing us into that paradigm.
Right, and that's exactly, look, it's these things that we've taken for granted that, I mean, literally, imagine if some people's electric bills are like $150, $300, depending on where you live. You might live in a condo or whatever. It may be lower or higher depending on where you live. I'm just saying. But imagine whatever it was, all of a sudden is double. All of a sudden, whatever it is, 150, now it's 300. If 300, now it's 600. You got to pay 600. Now your water bill. Your water bill used to be like, you know, whatever it is, $50, $100 a month. Okay? All of a sudden, they give you X amount, but if you go over that amount, you got to pay X amount by, you know, such and such. It's like this. Have you gone to the ATM lately? To an ATM that doesn't belong to your particular network? I went to one today. Do you know how much they charge to take out some money?
How much?
$4.50.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 375 here in Hawaii. Yeah, which is surprising. It's not more here in Hawaii. 375. So you take $20. I mean, that's usury, man. It's beyond just regular interest or just service charge. That's usury. I mean, that's insane.
That's fucking loan
15%.
sharking, dude. It's loan sharking. Now, I told Bruce this the other day. I went to the bank to go cash a check. It was drawn on, which was Bank of America, and there's not a hood anywhere near my house. Okay, there's no reason for what I'm telling you. There's no hood anywhere around here. Everywhere I live around here, there's no hoods. Okay? Listen. I go in this Bank of America. First of all, there's nobody in there. There's no workers. And the workers that are there are now behind 3-inch bulletproof glass with boxes installed with little windows on them where you could stick shit in there. It looks like the Kentucky Fried Chicken in East Palo Alto where I used to live. We used to have bulletproof glass just like this. It's literally 3 inches thick. Why are they doing that? Do they think there's going to be that many people so pissed off coming into the bank going, where's my fucking money? That's why. I want my money.
It's going to happen any day, just like it happened in Greece. I mean, that is exactly what's going to happen, not just here, but throughout the world. One day you're going to go to the ATM and it's not going to work. Period. That is exactly what happened to Greece. It's going to happen to us.
I know, and it's funny that you brought Greece up because I was telling my mom about it earlier. I was saying, yeah, people in Greece, the money that they had in the bank, they just fucking took it, and they called it a haircut. And a lot of people got haircuts, and you found that in the moment of the haircut was when Bitcoin took off, because all that fucking people in Belarus were putting their money into Bitcoin. That exact same moment that shit happened. And the other thing is Finland, it was it Iceland or Finland that said no to the haircut? I forget what it is.
The austerity rules? They're trying
Iceland.
Iceland.
Yeah.
Iceland was the only country that said no.
Awesome.
Everybody else just rolled over. And you know what? It was just a blip on the news screen over here, but people didn't realize people literally got wiped the fuck out. Imagine if you only have so much money to live on for the rest of your life right now, and you're sitting in the bank every single day. This inflation goes higher, your money's worth less. The buying power is worth less. When you started off, you had 10 grand in the bank. Now you fucking 10 grand. Since your 10 grand's worth 5 grand right now. Another 2 months from now, your 10 grand's gonna be worth fucking 2 grand.
And it's a global problem too. That's the problem. Like, you can't go anywhere to get away from it. You know what I mean? Like so when you move to England or something, it's 9% there. It's 8.6 here. That's not going to help. You know what I mean? So where are you going to go? I mean, it's like you can go like you're in a good place pretty much over there, Bruce. But it's still, what is it, like 7% over there or something like that? I recall last time I saw
Bruce, can you
inflation?
Bruce,
yeah.
Well, see, yeah, but we have a countermeasure here, which is that the colony is sinking fast, right?
Yeah,
so,
I was going to ask you, can you talk about the political situation over there with
so
Nicaragua?
This is becoming some kind of a touch point in the world, okay? So, number one, we went through a ransomware situation, and it's largely believed by intelligent opinions that it was the Russian government, a.k.a. the Russian mob. So we were targeted as an ally of the United States. Our northern neighbor, Nicaragua, said publicly that if the United States and NATO want to put arms in Ukraine that could hit Moscow, maybe it's time he invited Moscow to put arms in Nicaragua that could hit Washington. So it's really kind of heating up here. We have a new president. He's been in office about four weeks. He worked for, I think, about a decade at the World Bank. His wife is Lithuanian. They both speak 5 languages. Not your typical Costa Rican president. So he's been brought in to do something. I'm not quite sure what yet. He said that he doesn't want to bail out the colony anymore because it was sort of, market forces have been dictating a correction for a number of years, but every time it gets too severe, the Costa Rican government goes in and buys up their own currency with treasury funds, but they don't have treasury funds anymore. So there's a fiscal crisis looming in Costa Rica. Now, we hear that a lot. You know, there's one everywhere, really, America. But when you get into Central America, like, a fiscal crisis is a real thing, right? And everything tightens over here. So you guys, I'd say North Americans still have the luxury of living on a monthly economy. It's a 24-hour economy over here. Most people plan for 24 hours, except civil servants, police, and stuff like that. But, taxi drivers, tourism, those are all 24-hour economies. Now, coupled with that at least 50% of the men under 30 who have children are not married. And this country has the strictest child support law in the world. If you're a minute late.
Let me ask you a question, man.
Yeah.
What kind of economy would you have if there was no people with fucking disposable income to come to Costa Rica and spend it?
Well, it would become much more natural. I think the food would clean up quite a bit. I think that the price of goods would come down quite a bit. Foreigners have affected this place quite a bit.
That's
it's
what I mean.
impossible to come here and not affect the place.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because the thing is like we've been saying for a couple of years now, man, is it's musical chairs. That everything is based on people having money in their pocket to spend on some shit. To go buy some shit. And to continue to keep buying shit. Do you know I didn't know this. I wasn't aware of this. Did you know that they calculate something that's called a consumption basket, and that they calculate based on people's consumption basket? They have a whole criteria that there's an expectation of a certain amount of consumption out of you and me. Every single person has a basket. And we consume X amount of goods, and it's in order to know that consumption basket is to know whether or not you have enough money to make your nut, which is the bottom line to keep your shit running. If there's not enough shit in the consumption basket and there's not enough money to make your nut, there's nobody there on the plunge protection team to stop the stock market from going all the way down. Go ahead.
Okay, so when you look at the economy as consumption, which you just introduced, it's a brilliant way to understand the blood economy, why people die when they can't pay debt. I don't mean to get all spooky here, but this is an important point to understand, and you kind of segued into it. So if you look at the average North American, there's a total footprint. If that person lives to be 80 years old, there's an energy consumption that they're going to have. It's in liters of gas, calories of food, quality of food, imported food, the cost of the gas to import the food, and education for the children, everything. So a North American family has a certain economic footprint. Okay? Now, if you kill 100 million people in America, the debtor countries don't get their debt back, but the consumption of those 100 million people is taken out of the global economy. You follow? Mm-hmm. And this is why debt is always solved in blood. Okay? People think it's ritual. People think it's some, I don't know, Abrahamic thing. And there's a little bit of that in it, but really it's one of the logical structures of nature, right? So debt is always death. Debt is always death.
And in more ways than one.
Yeah.
In more ways than one. Well, so, I mean, I was looking.
Well, I mean, this premise. Sorry, I think that's a good. That's not a segue. It's just a good point to bring up. The Knights Templar were founded. They weren't founded. I'm sorry. They were made illegal by King Philip of France because King Philip of France was indebted to them, right? So this is where we talk about Freemasonry today being derived from the Knights Templar, and the reason was because Knights Templar became so powerful at the time and started the first world banking system that we know of in modern terms, and King Philip was indebted to them, and therefore the way to eliminate his debt was to eliminate them. Previous to that, the economy was based on the very economy you're talking about, Bruce. It's based on the Crusades, right? So people they had to finance their way there. They had to have their money taken care of while they were over there fighting. And this whole thing was basically the first economy based on this capital, the baskets that Jimmy were talking about in a way too, of known wealth that could be harvested just like a crop, right? And so when France became indebted to an organization, in this case the bank, which wasn't a bank yet, the Knights Templar, he made them illegal in a ploy, with was it Pope Clementine, I believe? I forget which pope it was. You guys correct me on this one. But anyway, they went ahead and made it a sin to be a Knights Templar, right? To eliminate that debt. So yeah, it's always been about pick a war, pick World War I. What was that really about? It was about debt. What was World War II about? It was about the Treaty of Versailles, which made Germany in debt to everyone else to pay back the debts of World War I. It's all about scrubbing that debt.
Yeah. And now the biggest debtor in the world is America, and there's no way you can produce enough to pay your debt. And so your head's on the chopping block. You need to understand this, okay? And it's not going to be Russia, China, and Iran that do you in. It's going to be Joe Biden and the people around him. So the person with the karmic disposition, or for the Christians on the call, the person entitled by Satan to carry out the big death is Hillary Clinton, okay? And it has to be a certain person to call down that kind of energy into the world. It is a spiritual act to do that. So when you look at history, realize that the Pol Pots and the Mao Zedongs and the Joe Stalins, they are in their own way spiritual figures. We need to get our head around that, right? And so Hillary Clinton is the torch. And so that's why everything behind the scenes is attempting to get her back into the quarterback slot, because she brings down the big death.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I think it's beyond any of that, man. I mean, not to say that that's not relevant, but I just think that, obviously, whatever's going on, this whole thing, all of these things seem to tie together. So, like, everything that we saw during the lockdowns, so we basically saw what it would look like under these kind of measures that we're actually under now because of the price of everything. So in other words, things kind of look the same even though we're not locked down because gas is so much more expensive, so people aren't going anywhere. It's like I drive, to work every day. There's nobody on the road, man. And I mean nobody. I live in the Bay Area, man. There's fucking traffic. There's been traffic my whole life here, man. And it's only gotten worse and worse. And then during the pandemic, no traffic, no people anywhere. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't disappointed about that. And then things got better. And then all of a sudden, you saw a lot more traffic.
So developing. And then instant 24/7.
Hang on a second. And then all of a sudden, it dropped off again. Now there's nobody. So you can tell how much money is being spent when you look and you see in an area by how many cranes there are doing construction. So, like, if you go to New York City and you see a bunch of cranes doing work, that means money's being spent on construction. There's money being spent. So early morning going over to San Jose from where I live is when all the construction workers from here go over there, because there's no work here for you. You have to go over there to make the money. So everybody goes over the hill. So right now, at 5 in the morning, there's nobody on the road. So there's no construction going on here unless it's already been going on. Everything's coming to a halt. There's people that have gotten jobs. They've been offered jobs, and they got the job. They quit their other job, and now they're getting letters from the company that hired them saying, "Sorry, no job." So they're out of work. Everything is coming to a halt everywhere you look, and so it's really important that we're just trying to let you guys know some of this stuff we've been talking about is looking like it's going to happen now. We talked about before, and I think you were even on the air with us, Bruce, when we did that show. We talked about before about just one day you just go there and you can't get your money out of the ATM anymore, and you have to go into the bank, and there's big lines, and they're telling you, well, you can have your old money, it's only worth this, but if you take this new digital money, it's going to be worth that. Well, maybe we just made it up. We were on Speculation Island or whatever, extrapolating. But here it is now, June 17th, 2022. And here's a dude from the Federal Reserve, everybody. So take a listen to this.
Looking forward, Rapid changes are taking place in the global monetary system that may affect the international role of the dollar in the future. Most major economies already have or are in the process of developing instant 24/7 payments. Our own FedNow service will be coming online in 2023. And in light of the tremendous growth in crypto assets and stablecoins, we are examining whether a U.S. central bank digital currency would improve upon what is an already safe and efficient domestic payment system. As our white paper on this topic notes, a U.S. CBDC could also potentially help maintain the dollar's international standing.
So, let's say there is 10 weeks of wheat left, and let's say all this shit happens, and the dollar goes away, and there's food shortages, and the only way to get any food in the future will be to spend this new digital currency into existence from zero. And everybody gets a card. You have to go down and get your new card to go ahead and partake of the new digital system. I don't know what's going on with these banks, why they're putting bulletproof glass in there, man. I'm just saying, I have a funny feeling something's going to happen. Now, what do you guys think? Go ahead. Rio, you haven't been saying much. What are you thinking? I mean, what are you seeing? Is there cranes in New York City? You seeing any cranes when you drive by? Hello. Am I here by myself? I don't hear anybody. I don't hear anybody else.
You called upon the Rio, and he has not responded.
No. I don't hear you, Rio.
Yeah, Jimmy, there's no happy ending to this story, man. It's all about bunkering down at this point, right? If you can,
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be 3 or 4 more years, of frog in the pot, right? And you start to see it at the fringes. Like daily shootings, daily mass like just people just losing their shit as, they fall off the tree. They can't hold the branch any longer. Can't hold their life together, pay their bills.
I saw a thing earlier this week where some dude was at the gas station and some woman came up and offered him some head for some gas, and he called the cops on his cell phone, and she got arrested for soliciting.
Unbelievable.
That's just, I mean, you remember David Dees? He was this guy. He used to do these satirical magazine covers with like just this heinous stuff on it. He died of fast-acting cancer. But he did this, there was one when Obama was in office that he did. I remember it, and it was a scene at a gas station, and the price of gas was like $9 on the pumps, on the sign outside the gas station, and there was just all these people just beating the shit out of each other in the gas station, and it's like fires and all the shit in the background, and it was like Obama was standing there laughing. But it's just funny that that this was going to happen one way or another. Someday, this moment was going to arrive when gas was going to be this much. And the future was going to say, you didn't drive around like you used to. You're going to take, vehicles that are, provided for you to go from point A to point B. You're not, and, having your own car is going to be, those days are over. It's not that you can't have your own car, it's just that you won't want to spend your money on that.
Isn't it funny that it's cyclical? Like how at the end of the Nixon administration you had the oil crisis, and then the incredible corruption of Nixon became known to people, right? And then Carter comes in to rescue the economy, but it gets worse. He tells you to wear a sweater and turn your thermostat down to 66 degrees or whatever it was, right? And it tries to put peace in the Middle East and all this stuff. And it inherits this huge inflation and all this other things that came involved with it in this oil crunch. and didn't get reelected because of it. No one thing he did bad necessarily, wasn't his fault in a way, but what can you do? You inherited it, right? But the thing is, we're in the same boat. And not make excuses for Biden on this, don't get me wrong. But it's the same thing where it was this thing where you have this incredible corruption, which a lot of people already knew going on, and you have this incredible ordeal with, at the time, it wasn't the gas crunch, it was a pandemic, right? But now we inherit this gas crunch based on, it wasn't the pandemic this time. I mean, excuse me, it was the corruption in the oil, but the oil was caused by the supply chain. And then this war going on, it heightens the whole thing. So there's no way out of this. There's no good way out of this. Either way, the plan has always been to move people some other direction. It didn't really work in the 70s because there was nothing to take the place. The chips weren't there for people. I don't mean it like the sounds, but I mean as far as like the actual technology, the chips weren't there.
You can see the dry runs of it. It's like the silverback gorilla. It comes at you a bunch of times, and it looks like it's going to kill you, but then it backs off.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't actually, it never comes.
Threat display. It does a threat display.
Exactly. And it's like you've seen this thing roll out. Like you saw the original hippies when you look back at that movie Tommy. You look back at Tommy, and there's a that song Tommy, Can You Hear Me? Whatever. He's running through these fields of wheat. And there's these dudes in these chemical outfits spraying the fields with these chemicals and shit. It's like the original hippies and the original tree huggers they were talking about the same shit that we're talking about today about what's in the food and all that. It's exactly the same shit. They've run this stuff. They've run all of this by. Look, I was thinking about it earlier. All this about transgenders and all this and stuff and that's going on right now. Man, back as far as Milton Berle was dressing up like a woman. I was thinking about that earlier. Do you remember that shit? Milton Berle?
Yeah.
It was said that Milton Berle had the biggest pecker in Hollywood.
There's a competition between him and Tom Jones, right? Wasn't that always a joke? Right, back in the day.
And
in the 70s knows that stuff. They grew up even they weren't old enough to appreciate everything else. That's the kind of thing that sticks with you.
Milton Berle used to hang out with Tony Curtis all the time. One time when I was in the Sunset Strip, I was at the Rainbow, and Tony Curtis came in with these two giant. I don't know where they were. Women. They looked like old Vegas showgirls with these giant hairdos and shit. And he's like a small dude, man. Tony Curtis wasn't that bad. Anyways. I'm just trying to, enlighten the situation. And I don't mean illuminate. Take some of the weight off the heaviness of what's going on, at this point.
Well, it seems like the goals of technocracy. So when I was talking about the chips earlier, I was talking about the technology and the processing power. Not chips in the person per se yet, right? And it's like this is the same kind of thing. We go up to the brink to try to push this into where we'll accept this technocratic society. In a technocratic society, we're talking about the blood burden being put on us that Bruce was just talking about, like you got to clean the slate of the older aged people who are a burden on society because it costs so much money to keep them alive at a certain point. Their productive ratio isn't high enough to keep them alive. Well, that's the world of Logan's Run, right? That's the world of Logan's Run. So what age is that? And I'd say that what's kind of interesting, and I always thought about this in the years since I watched that movie as a little kid, that the age then was 30? I think it was 30. And so the status of our world society is measured by how much older that age gets.
Well, check this
right?
out. It's
so
funny.
Now
it's funny that
maybe it's 45 or 50 now.
No, it isn't. It's not. It's funny that you should bring that up, because I was just thinking about this earlier today, and I was thinking about how at one point during the 60s they said, "Fucking never trust anybody over 30." Okay, and here's another thing. Now this is something that everybody said. This is like a saying that people said. Just a common thing. What's funny now is there's this whole other thing going on with millennials hating boomers. You know what I mean? So those same 30-year-olds that you're talking about, those same 30-year-olds, they're the ones going to be at the insurance companies and the health departments and everything else making a decision of whether or not grandpappy can get that operation or not. Whether or not his value to the system is still enough to warrant the expenditures to keep his ass alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's actually a pretty phenomenal movie when you look at it today. I revisited it not too long ago, and it was about, I don't know, 6 months ago, probably during the pandemic, and watched a bunch of these old movies again that I'd watched growing up, and just to see how I saw them differently, because as we've gone through our journey together, exposing all these things that we see in some of these movies and the way the system works, a lot of these things you might have missed growing up, you remember, but you haven't seen them lately. And it was pretty interesting how that movie played out, you know. And yeah, I mean that is the world of what MBS is trying to bring through. What do you call it? Neom in Saudi Arabia, to transform that into the society.
Did you ever in your life think that you would see a day when America was sitting there and the only thing that going on in it 24 hours a day was the promotion of the LGBT lifestyle? To the point where it's openly, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, I'm just saying perception is everything in this world today. It's perception not having anything to do with reality. In other words, how you perceive it is how it is, but how you perceive it may not be how it really is.
It's totally a psyop, dude. It totally. I don't mean like the gay advocate part of it.
This is the top of the hour. You guys want to take a quick break? See if Rio's...
Yeah, I'll address this after the fact.
Where's Rio? Is he still here?
Hangman don't take no break.
Well, I gotta get me some hot coffees. I suggest you do the same, because we're about to get knee deep. Free World FM. Here they come to snuff the rooster. I think that's about his dad's buddy in Nam. Epic Journeyman, are you there? Are you ready to address the situation? I think maybe he stepped away. Well, that's all right. It's okay.
I didn't step away. I was fumbling with my controller over here, trying to get back to the microphone mute.
And
yeah,
did
well,
Rio...
you know, this is an interesting situation we're talking about.
Go ahead.
So this idea, even good causes, and it's arguably a good cause, right? Don't need their own month because there's not enough month for every good cause. Okay, and so like Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the NFL, a whole month people got to run around with pink banners on their shoulders, on their shoes or whatever to celebrate Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I mean, it seems like a noble cause. Yeah, let's beat breast cancer. Cool. Well, and then there's Black History Month. February is Black History Month. Well, okay, we should have learned it at school, but okay. At what point is it my favorite color is red month? You know what I'm saying? Like at some point.
Well, the thing is, what if I wanted to start like a white pride month? Is that
right.
The thing is, if you said white and pride in the same sentence, they'd be hanging you out in this town square. Like you're not allowed to, you know what I mean? It's and the thing is it's not that anyone is against anyone's lifestyle, but if you're to say something against what you see going on, for whatever reason, it's turned around on you and made you to seem like you're the bad person, But the thing is that we shouldn't be discussing someone's sexual preferences, and especially in reference to people that are not even formed yet. They're in their formative years. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it has nothing to do with whether I approve or disapprove of somebody's shit. I don't care what people do. It's in their own business.
It's not the sex act, right? Exactly. So it's like, do I like blondes or brunettes? Well, I shouldn't be talking about that with my 6-year-old. They don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? That's
exactly.
Just not appropriate.
I mean, it's
so
not.
They don't know why I'm talking about that preference at all.
It's not anything.
For redheads, well, whatever. But
it's not anything that needs to be. I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like it's something that people should be thinking about. I mean, I wasn't thinking about any of that when I was a little boy, or
Not a single day, man.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's almost. I mean, and I'm. The thing about it is it used to be the whole idea behind everything was that you were born this way. You were born this way, and there was no way around that. It wasn't a choice. It was, you were born that way. Okay? Somewhere along the line, okay, it's become a choice for people. And that's okay, and but I'm saying politically in the beginning, there was no way around this if this was the way that you were born. You were born this way. That was the thing.
Right.
You're born.
No need to talk about it. Right.
Not,
just the way it is.
Not that you made a choice to become sexually active in a certain marketplace because that's what you decided.
That's key.
Right.
The market. Yeah.
Right. And so the thing is that if it's a natural thing that happened to somebody, there's a reason to be knowing about it when you're a little boy or girl in your school. But until such a moment arrives, there's no reason to assume that everyone needs to have supportive information in regards to that lifestyle when they're not even formed yet. It's not a choice. Okay. It shouldn't be anyway, or at least I was told my whole life up until a certain point that it wasn't a choice, that you were born that way. So, which is it? A choice, or were you born that way? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm just thinking that we talked before long ago about how the social engineering people of the day, when it really meant social engineering. Now they use it like it's an IT term. No, or a human resources term. No. Back in the day, they used to steer culture like Tavistock Dawkins people. We've talked about it many times. And one of the things that the social engineers of the 60s talked about, actually late 50s, they talked about creating the system of the what they call them, the rockers and the colorfully dressed men dressed like birds, right? Basically, and all these things. They really envisioned this culture they were going to try to create. They were creating a culture, and they were going to put these people into these segmented groups based on what they engineered for it to be, right? The rockers, the what they call the the leather jacketed people. I guess that was the rockers, maybe, I don't know. But watch this whole
It
documentary.
was the mods, rockers and the mods.
The mods, that's what it was. Yeah, the Austin Powers types. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but now this is what they're doing with the trans people and the LGBTQ communities. They're actually making it a style choice, not a lifestyle choice, a style choice. Right, and that's not cool. That you're trying to, because it carries other weights with it, other than the way you dress or the way you act in society.
It's not cool for you to be how you were born. That it's called cisgender. I believe it or not, because I just got this job recently. I just went through a modern sexual harassment training. That went on for an hour.
I've seen those.
It went on for an hour and a half. Okay, I had to listen to all these different testimonials of stuff that happened to people, and I have to say I did learn quite a bit. I learned that sexual harassment is not just sexual. It's like, for example, you can be homosexually harassed at work, but that doesn't mean that a homosexual is trying to have sex with you. It means that because you're not a homosexual and your boss is, that your boss treats you a certain way. And your other buddy over there that works next to you, he is gay and he gets treated a certain way. That's actually sexual harassment, believe it or not.
It's why the Human Resources Departments of mainland, it's strictly a mainland thing, doesn't happen over here in Hawaii yet, thank God, are ballooning up. It's a whole industry, human resources, right? Because of this very thing. They have to create reasons for people to have reasons to go to human resources and complain about their apparent discrimination in the workplace. And some of it's legitimate. Some of it is. That's the thing. But
isn't this the same thing as the yellow Volkswagen, dude? It's like you buy a yellow Volkswagen
exactly.
and you see it everywhere. Because the thing is,
100%.
like I just said, I didn't know that was sexual harassment. But, I mean, obviously, I've been in the workforce since I was 12 years old, man. So the thing is, I mean, I look at some of this training now, and I think to myself, for example, I was watching this video when I was doing the OSHA training in relation to asbestos. And the whole time, my whole career, until I watched that video, my whole career I spent looking for this one particular thing that I thought was asbestos. But it turns out there was this other shit that was asbestos that I was literally just crawling in it. With no mask, no idea that it was even asbestos.
The gray, silver stuff,
yeah,
lining, all these.
The brown shit. Yeah, there's brown shit. I didn't even know about it. But I'm just saying, I mean, after you find out about all this stuff that, you're just washing your hands with, chemicals to get the grease off and all this shit, you find out later, it's just like, it's a miracle that we're still alive, man, at this point. With all the shit that's going on. And I mean, all the harassment that I've been through my whole life, through every fucking job I've ever had. I mean, I've had lawsuit after lawsuit, apparently, compared to some of the shit I was seeing the other day. I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, it's no wonder that, look, if a food source develops, an organism will develop around that food source. If you create a way for people to survive off of something, anything, any organism. The thing is, look, if you throw away every night in the restaurants around New York City, they throw food in the trash. Okay? If you throw food in that trash, do you think they'll develop a whole group of people that survive off of the food that gets thrown in that trash? There's a food source there, so there's a way to eat that food. It's the food that was in the restaurant. All you have to do is just get past the one thing, and if you don't have anything, you probably get past that one thing to survive on that food.
You know what just occurred to me that I never thought of before, and it's probably incorrect. It's probably totally incorrect. It's just a thought I hadn't really thought of before this way. Is that the Zoom meetings were pioneered during the pandemic, where people had to call in from home, work from home, do these things from home, weren't just what we think they were. A way to still work and keep the economy rolling and keep work going, as much as they were testing the idea. Let's eliminate all these lawsuits. Let's take all this harassment of the workplace away by working from home. It's a big hit to every business. Any big
Not
business.
only that, but let's work from home in VR. And if you do or say anything in VR, you'll get a warning because there'll be a 7-second delay on your reality. There's going to be a 7-second delay on reality from now on to keep you from. And there'll be like how you have that thing from Amazon. You can wear it. It tells you if the tone of your voice isn't right for the situation. What's it called? Halo? Yeah, it'll be a halo and a 7-second delay on your reality, man, so you can fucking put yourself in check yourself before you wreck yourself. Wouldn't that be good? How many times do you wish you had 7 seconds back that you couldn't have said what you just said to the person?
Every ex-girlfriend I had, I wish I had that opportunity, probably.
Bet you lots of people do. Fuck. I don't know. We're at the basic point of, I'm 100% sure about this, that we were the first show to bring up postmodernist deconstructionism and how it was exactly what we were going through. And I think it was like 4 years ago, maybe. It was at least 3 years ago. And when we started going into it, and I think we did a few shows on it in different aspects of it. One of the things was hyper reality was one of the things that was going to happen, which is, people would rather be in the internet than in reality. That there'd become the line between reality, knock on wood reality, and the internet reality would become blurred. But there was a whole section in there around sexuality and, the whole trans thing that's going on right now and everything, even though back then it wasn't a thing when this was all put together. Now, Bruce, who did you say was the French dude in charge of putting out this idea of postmodernist deconstructionism? Is Bruce still here?
I thought I heard him for a second. I saw
I heard the dog bark
in the call.
Yeah, I thought I heard his dog barking. What do you know the guy's name? The French philosopher.
I don't recall his name. He would have it right at the tip of his tongue there too, because he's a student of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
We've talked about it. We've talked about it more in the context of the people at the Beatnik Hotel in Paris and all those people. And those people were all there, no doubt about it. Burroughs and all those people were there, and that's where Aquino's mom went. After she left America during that when she left Stanford. So there's a whole tie-in to those people. What's his name? Who wrote The Road, and all those people were there. All those people were there in the same hotel in Paris. But that's not necessarily the home of postmodernism and deconstructionism. It actually started before that. Those people just came in and after. And he would know. I'm not going to look it up. It was Pope Clemens, not Clementine, by the way. I'm going to correct myself. I had to look it up during our break you had to make sure. I was close, but no cigar. I'll take this opportunity to correct what I said earlier about the Templars.
Well, looks like me and you are the last two dudes standing.
No, I heard Rio.
No,
right?
Bruce is gone. Rio's gone too. Rio's still here, but he's not here. He doesn't hear. See, watch. Rio, are you there? See? He's gone, man.
Well, I think that we're on a roll here about the idea that some of the things we think, we always think the big thing is going to be implemented first. Let me explain. So the big thing is we're thinking, well, we all think, probably everybody in this chat thinks the same thing, that they're going to take away our financial structure, going to force us to digital economy, and we're going to be forced that overnight, and that's going to put us under one world system. But for that to happen, there has to be a sociological driver for it to happen. And we always forget that, us included here on the show, right? We always think that, well, that can happen without those things. But those things are happening. This whole transgender thing, and I'm not anti-transgender or whatever, but it becoming a motivational topic for the far right to literally become, fascists, right? And indoctrinate people into their ideology so that they can fight this because it's something to fight against, right, for them, right or wrong. That's part of this system. And so by forcing people to take a side, something they never thought they had to take a side on before. I mean, I never thought I had to take a side on transgender rights. Why would I? I'm not transgender. Nobody I know is transgender. You know what I mean? So why would I care? But now make this a driver, it becomes an issue. And there's other forces that love this. I mean, this is definitely something that the people who push Russian Orthodoxy from literally the Russian government, that they want that, right? Because that makes Putin look good, right? So that's so for their psychological warfare, that's what they want. It works for their advantage, right? For the people who are like Bannon, who is literally celebrating the idea that we're going to go back to 1932. He said it yesterday. 1932. What happened in 1932? The Nazi Party came into power, right? So it's out in the open, right? But the thing is, it's not just that. It's the idea of making these psychological drivers that make people suddenly have to choose something they never thought they had to choose before. And so this is what a lot of this is about. It's about isolating people, polarizing people to where they have to choose something they never had to make a choice of before. Do you want coconuts or walnuts? Well, I never thought about it before. I guess coconut. Aha! You know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
It's not that I don't like walnuts. You just asked me which one I'd rather have.
That's right? What I mean. It's just everything's been made so that if you try to say anything to protect yourself against what's being said, you're bad. I don't know, man. It's it's a weird time to be alive. It's a weird time.
You see what I'm saying about the idea that it's this, I know you do, about how when we started working from home, or not everybody did, but the people who could.
No, I totally
it eliminates that whole idea of this environment that's artificially been created where you have to have all these HR people to solve these problems, right? These things are actually, we used to call it generation gaps back in the day. Our day, growing up, most people in this room probably that are watching today, there's no there's a generation gap. Well, I can't really relate to these kids today, kind of thing, in some ways, Well, no, they're in the workplace, and you have to deal with them, and they have the power now, right? But you can eliminate that aspect of it by working from home. But when you also work from home, what do? You create these separate pods, these separate people who interact. You control their social interaction. You can eliminate them from interacting with other people that might be in a discordant environment for them. And so now and then you can just take those pods and use those pods like seed pods, right, to filter ideas through. And you can use the proper points of the filter bubbles you artificially create as a corporation to actually maybe have some fruition of an idea without all the other hassle involved. You're basically creating, you're turning us into an AI, a live AI.
Yeah,
right?
A virtual reality. I was watching this thing, and I don't know which thing it was in the VR thing that you sent me, but I was watching. Oh, I remember what it was. It was them showing how it would be to work from your house. And you're at your house, but you're in a virtual reality of your office. And you see people walking around, and it's like you're in your office. They can see you, and you can see them. And their icons are walking around in the office just like they would, except you're not in the office. You see the woman walking by and all that in front of your window in your fake office. Well, Bob, we're going to give you the fake corner office because you've been promoted. So now when you sign in virtually, you're in the corner office with the big leather furniture and shit. Really, you're just sitting on your ass on a milk crate at your house with no heat, eating a crust of bread. All right, listen. we've
I
been.
don't even know if it's a crust of bread. It's probably like the protein gruel, on your beer hat and your VR goggles. And it have like the scent sprayed in there from time to time to give you the smell of like a barbecue or something to make you think it's good.
I don't know.
We're there, man. We are there. We're pretty darn close. And the only way to break it is to identify it and call it out. Because as long as people can be partitioned to filter bubbles, they're going to keep using the filter bubbles against us.
That's the thing, is they got everybody so divided a million times. Half of a 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 half. But the thing is everybody should be multiplying with each other and making a giant majority that overrules this bullshit that's going on. The thing is everybody's just standing back, just going, oh man, look, there's a supply chain. Look at all these places are being burned down. Look, our food is, everybody's just standing around and, eventually the rubber's going to meet the road. The music.
You know what it's like? You have me thinking about it. I was thinking about this earlier today, actually. It's just like a great band, right? This great band has such synergy. They make such great albums together. They make all these great songs. And then the agent gets in there from the record company and says, hey, Bob, you don't need these people. You're the real songwriter. You're the real power, the real presence behind this band, don't you know?
Mm-hmm.
You can make so much more money if you're just on your own. Why do you want these losers, right? And breaks up the band.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of breaking up the band is to break up the productive creativity that is counter to the very things that present a threat to people who don't have imagination and talent. You see? That's how it works.
Well, I know a lot of people, man, and I've known a lot of people my whole life. I've never known anybody who was the kind of racist that they spout that runs all around everywhere. That the majority of people who have white skin are like that. Is bullshit. Nobody has a problem with anybody that I know. I mean, no one walks around or secretly, gets together. There's not like secret groups of white people getting together saying how much they don't like people of color. It's bullshit. Nobody has a problem with anybody. If anything, white people don't do shit about anything. They just sit there. Fucking don't do anything. You can just do anything to them and they don't do shit.
I'm not saying they don't exist, but
I'm just
yet to
saying.
meet a racist. I've never met a racist musician.
I don't know. All I'm saying is the thing is that if you tell people there's a racist around every corner, then there is. If you say there's a pedophile around every corner, there is. Someone's going to snatch your kid, there is. If you say there is. Because it just runs 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter what channel you turn it on to. If you put it on a sitcom, it's woven into the storyline. There's no way to avoid whatever is being said is the way that it is. Because eventually you're just going to say you agree with it because it's too much energy to fight it. You're just going to say, fuck it. Just like that dude screaming out the window on Network. If I buy the toasters and the tires, will you just fucking leave me alone in my own house? Well, those days are over. What was the biggest issue that we brought to the table was cognitive liberty. Nothing's been done about it. It's gotten worse.
Still the biggest issue.
It's the biggest issue. It's to the point where people are wearing masks and wearing masks that are Ukraine flags. Let's put it that way. All right. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll be in a more lighter-hearted mood. We'll be happy. Tonight, I don't know. We got set off on a bad note, on a warning, and then one thing led to another. What are you gonna do?
It wasn't all that bad. I mean, it's just the way it is.
It's horrifying, man.
Yeah.
The reality of it. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's no joke. I mean, any day could be the day the music stops, And if you don't have
that's true. I mean, that's what blew me away in a way. It's like the severity of the situation, and people are thinking about gas prices and inflation and stuff. Dude, it is way worse than that. It is way worse than that. We didn't even talk about the AI Google thing, which is an interesting thing. Not that
tomorrow night we will.
But
yeah, tomorrow
that
night.
engineer said it did. We could probably talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely tomorrow night, man. All right, so we'll see you guys back here tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Pacific. Thanks for being here. And I hope you have a great rest of the night.
cold. But right off I noticed there was a chill in the air, but I was young and foolhardy and bold. But then she looked in my eyes so hard I visualized that I was standing by the edge of the sea. I knew I would follow her practically anywhere. I knew she had a hold on me. Chinatown, the dragon started. Fell in love with the restless night. She's a sheltered girl with a wall all around her. But I opened my heart, did she come inside? As I left, I was vaguely aware of the danger. I thought I was an honorable man. The mystery here easily led me to fear. Sometimes it's hard to tell the face from the fan. The old man is crazy, I said to myself. But then I saw that dagger that he keeps on the shelf. Hired assassins in the dead of night, trying to cut me off from my own guiding light. Chinatown, the dragon started. Fell in love with the restless night. She's a sheltered girl with a wall all around her. But I opened my heart and she found inside.
Boy, it sure is a nice day today. I believe I'll go back out in the garden and dig me up some worms and go fishing. I got me a nice little spot picked out down there on the creek. Boy, them perches bite like crazy. Yes, sir. I'm going fish, 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 fishing. I'm going fishing, hook, sinker, and line. I said fish, 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 fishing. Boy, I'm going fishing just to ease my mind. You know, some folks say that fishing on a Sunday's a sin. I don't believe in that though. If a fish bite my line on a Sunday, I'm gonna reel him on in. I believe I'll take him on home and fry him up good and have a ball. 'Cause I don't see nothing wrong with fishing on Sunday at all. I'm going fish, 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 fishing. Boy, I'm going fishing, hook, sinker, and line. I said fish, 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 fishing. Yes, I'm going fishing just to ease my mind.